This is 24-1. We're going to take a look at the product rule. Now here's the definition of the product rule. It's just another form for us to be able to take the derivative. It says if h of x is two functions being multiplied together. So that's the way that our brain needs to separate and envision it. Then the derivative of our h function is the first function times the derivative of the second plus the second times the derivative of the first. Now the way that I memorize it is just imagine you draw both functions twice and you're adding them together. F of x times g of x plus f of x times g of x. You take the derivative of the first, you take the derivative of the second one, and then whatever that is, you just end up adding it together, right? So the idea is that each one separately has its own derivative. So let's look at an example. It says find the derivative in respect to y. Sorry, derivative of y in respect to x if y equals sine of x ln x cubed. So this would be my f of x. This would be my g of x. So the derivative of the first times the second plus the derivative of the second times the first. So the derivative of the first, so the derivative of sine of x is cosine of x times ln x cubed plus, now the derivative of this is going to be the chain rule, so this will be 1 over x cubed times, and then that's going to be 3x squared, so the derivative of the outside times the derivative of the inside, and then that's going to be times sine of x. So cleaning this up, it's going to be cosine of x plus ln x cubed plus 3x squared sine of x all over x cubed. Reducing there. And so that would go there, and that's going to be our answer. For this one here, we may have to do some manipulation. Notice how this is in the denominator, and I can bring it out into the numerator. So this will become x minus 4 squared, x squared plus 4x minus 2 cubed. So this is going to be the product rule. And so here's my first function. Actually, I'll just write it out. So the derivative of the first times the second plus the second times the derivative of the second times the first. So derivative of the first, derivative, this is a chain rule again. So that'll be 2x minus 4 times 1. And then times my g of x, which is x squared plus 4x minus 2, plus now the derivative of that second one, that's going to be 3x squared plus 4x minus 2 squared. So the derivative of the outside now times the derivative of the inside, which would be 2x plus 4, and that's going to be times my f of x, so x minus 4 squared. Whew, that's a lot. Now it's just all cleaning it up. So dy over dx equals, so here looks like I can multiply those, so I get 2 times x minus 4 times x squared plus 4x minus 2, and then plus 3 times x squared plus 4x minus 2 squared times 2x plus 4 times x minus 4 squared. I know it's really messy, but that's an acceptable answer. And this last one, once again, I see that in the denominator, so I want to bring that up into the numerator. So I'm going to have y equals cosine of 2x times e to the 4x. So derivative of the first, so that'll be negative sine of 2x times, now the derivative of the inside, so that's 2. And this is going to be times the second. So the derivative of the first times the second plus now the derivative of the second. So the derivative of e to the 4x is e to the 4x, now the derivative of the inside, so times 4. And then now times the first, so cosine of 2x. So now cleaning all of that up, I'm going to get negative 2 sine of 2x e to the 4x plus 4e to the 4x times cosine of 2x. And right there, that's an acceptable answer. So let's conclude this lesson. What is the product rule? It just basically says that if I'm multiplying two functions together, if I take the derivative of those two functions being multiplied together, it's the first times the derivative of the second plus the second times the derivative of the first. You can do the derivative of the first times the second plus the derivative of the second times the first. Remember, all I said is imagine it. If you were to write this out twice, and you make sure on one of them it's the f function and the other one it's the g function. However you want to do that, that's going to work. So this does conclude our lesson. If you have any other questions, please leave them in the comments.